Welcome to StarCraft 2's World Championship Series Europe. It is the Premier League Season 2! Another fantastic crowd here in the Cologne TV studios here at the home of ESL. We are 1/4 of the way through our round of 16. If you missed it yesterday, you missed some epic, sexy StarCraft. As you can see on your screen right now, Group A was won by Hasselhoffs, and Grubby came through in second place, much to the amazement of many, as the reigning European champion MVP was thrown down to Challenger League. Today we'll have Group B with Stephano and Welmu, and of course Lucifron in there as well. If you did miss yesterday, well, you missed quite a lot. You missed fantastic play. You missed a Protoss versus Protoss game which lasted forever. You also missed tears of joy, and you missed a throned king finally downed. In all, it was magical. Welcome to WCS Europe Premier League Season 2.
Germany versus the Netherlands. Just going to go straight for it. The Archons try and close the gap here and nothing to deal with. GG.
Beautiful StarCraft from the German here. Absolutely beautiful StarCraft.
GG! Hasselhoffs takes the series.
It's Grubby versus Red.
Still the force fields here. The Archons need to move to the front here to tank the damage. Grubby takes it 2-1.
Is it possible that the reigning champion of Europe will go out at the round of 16?
Just barely drops that him off, but there you go. GG for game number 1. MVP takes it.
Vikings go down. Just target the Vikings down.
GG.
Well played. Grubby just outplayed in that game. Oh,
he's going to kill it off. He's done it. Grubby has done it.
Cassandra and me, we worked so hard for this together. Like,
if yesterday was anything to go by, today's going to be just as spectacular. I don't even know if we can hope for it to be as good as that, but, well, we can pray anyway. I'm joined by our observer, Adabisi. What did you make of that yesterday?
Just kind of shocking results, basically. I mean, what else can we say? I mean, I was there saying MVP's going to coast through this, and he did not.
No, he didn't. Surprised about Hasselhoffs, I guess, but Grubby too, I mean, was just fantastic in that last game.
Yeah, I mean, that series started off and it was like, wow, this looks like it's going to be gruesome, and then he just turned it around and it was shocking.
Yeah, I mean, he even said, didn't he, in the interview afterwards, he was like, oh, I lost the first game, it was kind of like, oh, it's pretty standard MVP.
Yeah, that's what's meant to happen.
What's meant to happen. Yeah, and it didn't go that way. So, okay, it's time for day 2, Group B. 4 brand new players, well, not quite brand new players. We've got a couple of old hands in here, as you can see on your screen. Currently ranked 8 in the world is Stephano, of course, the European champion from last year in 2012, runner-up from Season 1 this year. He goes up against 3 players that are a real mixed bunch, actually. We've got the Finn Welmu, ranked 93, coming up from Challenger League. Alongside him, also ranked at 93, is duckdeok, coming also from Challenger League, but a Korean nevertheless, so we always can't discount them. And also Lucifron, who was a force of nature last season. So, you know, with those 2, and Welmu and duckdeok in there as well, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we saw one of our finalists lose from last season yesterday, and I think it might happen again. I think Lucifron and one Protoss will be getting through today.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
So maybe not the last dance that Stephano would like in what could be his last set of games.
Yeah, no. Maybe.
Brutal. Your predictions are as good as Artosis, though, I hear.
Pretty much.
Maybe we shouldn't read too much into that then. The players will play through a dual tournament format. Let's show you the bracket right now. If you're not familiar with this format, started off, of course, in the GSL. Thank you, guys. And Stephano will start off against duckdeok in the first game. Welmu will take on Lucifron. The winners will meet each other for the first place in the round of 8. The other 2 will drop down to the lower bracket, where they'll have one last chance to win 2 matches. Effectively, dual tournament means win 2 games, and you go through to the round of 8. It's pretty much as straightforward as that. Don't forget, we have our social media ready out there. Hubner is in the background somewhere collecting all your tweets. He's there, don't worry, and he's not an intern either. You know where I'm going with that joke, or you may not. Anyway, do interact with us via Twitter, hashtag WCS, and your tweets could be featured on the show today for your 15 seconds of fame. Time now to get into our first game of the evening. It's going to be a fantastic matchup. Let's show you the two players and give a little bit more background on their route to the round of 16. It's Stephano versus duckdeok. Stephano coming through the round of 32 relatively straightforwardly, wins against Slivko and MC. duckdeok took the difficult route. Dimaga 2-0 lost to start with, then beat Daishi 2-1, and then came back to knock Dimaga down to Challenger League with a 2-1 victory, which claimed the Korean a place in the round of 16. Can he go any further? Can he take down the Genius Zerg? We're about to find out in match number 1, which means it's time to go over to our fantastic commentary team of Apollo and Kalaris.
Thanks very much, Paul. Welcome to the Caster's Desk here for day number 2. Day number 1 was certainly amazing. And now, well, we have a pretty cool lineup of players, gotta say.
I think, day 1 just kicked off the WCS round of 16 better than anybody could have thought.
Yeah.
Today could be similar. It may not be as emotional as yesterday, but hopefully when it comes to the games, we've got amazing players within this group. Of course, Lucifer, Stephano up there. Then this guy to the left, who is starting off the vetoes, is very unpredictable. He's such a mysterious player because we don't know how well he's going to play today. We don't know what he's going to play in which style. And that really makes this group interesting, alongside with Wellmu down there as well, who performed so incredibly well in the round of 32.
I don't know, he's already got rid of Neoplanet S here. duckdeok, unfortunately for him in the round of 32, was really pigeonholed into a very, very odd style, unfortunately for him, because, I don't think we'll be just seeing straight to one base player, anything like that crazy from him. It's offline now here for duckdeok.
Yeah.
It's certainly an arena that he can now prove himself on.
Well, that's the thing. He struggled in the round of 32, and I thought that he was just going to bum out when he lost initially versus Dimaga 0-2. And then he beat Daishi and then Dimaga 2-1 and made it through. And he struggled in the first place to qualify for Premier League. He struggled to get into Challenge League. He failed in both aspects to the qualifiers, eventually make it into Challenger. And now he had to work his ways through Challenger, and then into Premier League 2. So he's finally where he wants to be. So let's see what he can do today. But he is going up against the number 2 from last season and number 1 from the season before. And a lot of people are saying now that MVP is gone, this is Stephano's tournament to lose.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Season 1 was proof enough for him to actually be able to take that title if he wants it. And with this last tournament, potentially last tournament here being his coup de grace, this is his position. But duckdeok here, he's certainly a man that can challenge that. Again, we saw the unpredictable play from him online. Offline, though, as I said, needs to prove himself. And I think he is going to bring a little bit more to the table here than just that complete aggression. But I still think he actually might go all in.
He looks very scary at this moment. Just kind of looking at his posture and his emotions, he's just very clean cut, and I think we could be in for a surprise today. A lot of people, I think, are expecting Stephano and Lucifer to go through as the 2 fan favorites here. Wellmu's definitely the underdog that can definitely cause an upset today. But then duckdeok's incredibly, I'd say the wild card, incredibly dangerous because nobody really knows what to expect from him. And this will be the opening of the round of 16, day 2, between these 2 players. And looks like Stephano, of course, doing his thing, discussing something with the commissioner.
The commissioner's out of
apparently he's saying no, so whatever it is, no.
No.
But this should be a good start to today. I'm looking forward to this game. Very much so. As there is duckdeok from Team MVP. For a lot of people, I mean, you may not really know the name duckdeok. You may not even know who this player is. But if I say the words MVP finale, then that might start to ring some alarm bells, because he did have a stunt in Code S. He did play, I think it was in October 2012, he was there. He played in the same group, I think it was, with Tasia, Parting, and Polt.
A tough one.
He beat Tasia in one game. He then dropped down, or I played in the winners match, against Parting, lost that, then lost against Polt. But 1-2, he was a good player. And I think the scariest part about him is he is the definition of a not big name in Korea, but probably is like one of the best if he was to play in Europe and North America.
Yeah, very, very scary here in terms of the lineup. The rest of the Koreans that we actually have just in general are pretty scary. We have duckdeok left, we have MC and MMA. So 3 left here. So actually we guarantee ourselves already 3 foreign spots at the season finals at the very, very end of this. May even be more if these Koreans are not able to vanquish these Europeans. And Well, as we said before, duckdeok, he's certainly a big threat, but he goes up against... That's a lot of monsters.
That's a lot of cans there. He's got to be buzzing up there on there. I don't know if he's planning to stay on that chair and play the winners match. Maybe he's staying there for the long run, but...
He's got to...
Look at that, look at that. I'm sure there's one individual that's very happy, and that would be the manager and CEO of EG. And Stephano gets ready to increase over 500 APM.
He even turned the logo just slightly there.
They're trained to do that.
They're trained. There's boot camps for it.
You never put the monster can the wrong way when there's a camera there.
We don't want to see the credits of the monster can.
All right, duckdeok, the youngest player in the WCS. And we talked about his run through the Premier League. He actually played a great set of games in Challenger too. 2-0 versus Crass, 1-2 versus Bunny, who's just such a great player too. Then 2-0 versus Cass again. But Premier League, you know, he managed to slip his way through Challenger into Premier into the round of 16. And now he's in a position where if he wins or comes out the group today with top 2, he stays in Premier League, which is very important for his long term of staying in the WCS.
Definitely, especially accumulating those points. But then we come to Stephano, a player that may be bowing out very soon, and now he promises over Twitter, in fact to you, I believe, that he is going to win it all. And that is a big promise. But with MVP gone, that looks even more certain. Oh, yeah.
He was very happy that MVP was gone yesterday, let me tell you that. Stephano, in the last week or so, has been playing a lot of StarCraft. He's been playing every day on his main account a good amount of games. And for Stephano, a good amount of games is 10 to 15. That's a lot. That, for everyone else, is 30, 40 games, because he doesn't play StarCraft that much. He just looks and thinks. His mechanics are always top tier. He doesn't need to practice that much to keep them top tier. And he is a massive thinker. You know, he does his own thing. He pushes Zerg in the direction that they need to be. He's innovated so much for StarCraft 2 Zerg players worldwide. And, you know, and I think that we're going to see that today.
Oh, yeah,
Zerg versus Protoss.
Yeah, exactly. Opening up with this matchup is certainly a little bit of a scary thing for some fans out there, depending on how you look at this style that Stephano utilizes. But he has said before, it wins him games. It doesn't matter how long the game goes on for, it wins games. And that is what a professional like Stephano, in terms of esports, is out there to do. He's out to win games. Why would you not utilize a strategy if it's a little bit slower than other strats, if you think it's going to guarantee you the win?
So I met with David Kim in Korea last week. Not Korea last week, where was he? He was here. China.
China.
That's how much what's going on.
We're
in
everywhere.
China last week. And he asked a lot of people about the balance of the game, and there was a general consensus saying that, yeah, it's not bad right now.
It's pretty good.
But if people start copying Stephano in Zerg vs Protoss, the game is broken in that matchup.
It's going to be scary.
And that's what we potentially are going to see here. And duckdeok, does he know how to play against that style? Has he practiced it himself?
Well, we'll see now as we jump into the first map of day number 2, Series 1 between Stephano and duckdeok here. Reigning second place in WCS Season 1, going up against the newcomer, as we have spawned down to the bottom right-hand corner as our blue Protoss, representing Korea and MVP. Give it up for duckdeok. And then up to the top left-hand corner, a man you're all pretty familiar with, spawning as the red Zerg, representing EG and France. Give it up for Stephano.
Well, here we begin. Day number 2. This is, of course, we're going to see 5 different games today, each one being a best of 3. And duckdeok from Team MVP goes up against Stephano here. Do you see Stephano going through, first of all, top 2? Of course, a lot of people watching for Stephano at this moment.
I think with the fact that there are 2 Protoss in it, I think probably, if he can survive past the mid-game, because I feel that both duckdeok and Whelmu are going to be very, very aggressive against Stephano here, otherwise they're just not going to beat him. And Stephano should be able to hold on. He's always been very, very good about doing that. So I think his chances are fantastic here to go through. And again, he's looking in prime position to claim the season potentially.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely feel that he's going to advance from today's group. It just depends in what position and how difficult that duckdeok can make that for him, because as mentioned, none of the players, and I spoke to everyone from today, they don't know what to expect from him. Because in the round of 32 he played a different style because he had to play from Korea. But now he's in a live environment. He's played in Code A, he's played in Code S, in live environments. He knows how to play good level StarCraft, and that's what we should be seeing from him today. which makes him a formidable opponent within this group.
And this kind of economic focus that we see from duckdeok with Nexus First is prime example of something that he just was not doing in the round of 32. Just going for a little bit more of an economical opener here. And, well, I mean, against Zerg, there was essences of that. But realistically, I still kind of think we're going to see a two-base play from duckdeok. I mean, he may go up to a third base and try and play it out. But if he does, this map is a scary one to go up against Stephano on.
Yeah, I think it really depends on how well. Remember that duckdeok did choose this map, though. I think he vetoed first and chose first. So I think that sets him up to be playing this map. But the one thing I think to myself here is how much does duckdeok know about Stephano's style?
That's true.
Who is, he's always been the best against Protoss, or one of the best, or his best against Protoss, and he reflects that still. He struggles in Zerg versus Zerg, he struggles against Terran here and there, but against Protoss, he's always been very, very good and strong against them. Has duckdeok studied into Stephano? Does he know what to expect? Is he expecting this swarm host style that we see so often?
And when Stephano gets that down, when he actually gathers the traction with it, it's a very, very scary thing. But as you said, his ZVP for the longest time in Wings of Liberty was fantastic, up there upwards of 70%, and that hasn't changed here in Heart of the Swarm either. Still at around that 70%, well, in fact, is 70% win ratio right now. So duckdeok's going to have a hard time, and I'm still waiting to see exactly what he wants to do here as that cybernetic storage just gets going, but that's pretty much standard here, with Stephano also having his third base down. But you can guarantee that Stephano just wants to prolong this for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Stephano's going to approach this in one way, and that's going to be try to find out. Well, he'll approach it like a lot of Zerg players, but I think he's going to be very articulate with his scouting. I think that Stephano's going to focus very heavily on finding out exactly what his opponent's doing, because I think that Stephano, the longer the game goes on, the more comfortable he will feel. But it takes a bit of time, it takes a bit of space to get his rhythm going, to get into the pattern, to get into where he needs to be with these swarm hosts. They're not strong early, he needs to go up to the lair, the infestation pit. There's a big, big timing before Stephano is strong in this game. And look at this, a robotics facility down really early here. Is this a sign towards potential aggression, Warp Prism or Immortal?
Well, certainly could be. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually did see a Warp Prism from duckdeok. It's something that he has done in the past. He's getting a lot of gas, could fuel a lot of sentry production. There's no +1 weapons on the way just yet, but sentries are already amassing here, as well as he does crank them out of one gateway.
Well, I'm looking at duckdeok. He got 1 sentry before the robotics facility, which means it's not the fastest. He's getting another sentry. He's on 4 gases really early. And he's actually going to pile in a lot of gas. There's a couple of different approaches that he can go from here. And I think it may be just for a third base, taking a third base. I don't think he's going to pile aggression into this. Warp gate's really late, and Immortal has started here.
But
it may seem, I think I know what you're going to say.
Well,
I think so, Klaus. We've cast together quite a bit here.
We have indeed. And he's only got 41 probes as well, but the gateways are going down. And, well, as that speed started as well for Stephano. Stephano doesn't really fully know what's going on just yet, but he's taking precautionary measures, and I like that. Stephano's just kind of playing.
Well, in Stephano's vision, he has seen the robotics facility, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Upon seeing that and a couple of extra gateways, he knows now that it's not that he's got to be a little bit careful. Let's just say it's not going to be a fast third base as he's seen. It's not been taken at all. And 44 probes and stopped. +1 attack now being started, that will align up with this push out, and I didn't think we'd see this from duckdeok, but he is going to move out. You called it earlier on thinking that he'd go for a 2-base attack. Stephano's still not sure exactly. Spore Crawler's coming down, but duckdeok is going to move out. This is how he beat Damarga in the round of 32, and this is how he's going to try to beat Stephano as well.
Yeah, it's duckdeok's best chance, I feel, here of defeating Stephano, and duckdeok has read this well to actually evaluate that fully and know where his strengths are going to lie here, as the Immortals are going to move out. Is the +1 slightly later than normal, though, here, Sean? Because he's going to get it eventually, but he needs to be chrono boosting it profusely right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, that he doesn't need to use +1 attack straight away, because there's a lot of force fields out, so he does have time to squeeze this out still.
Yes. All right, well, the infestation pit's going down for Stephano behind this, with a lot of Zerglings and Roaches coming out as well. Stephano's had to deal with this kind of push for a long, long time. The only addition in Heart of the Swarm is indeed that Mothership core. With Time Warps, does create a bit more of an annoyance here for Stephano, but he already knows it's there. The Roaches actually, one or two do sacrifice themselves. You have to be very, very careful about how he retains these units. There's not a huge amount of firepower, but Stephano evacuates the third base and gets a lot of drones caught.
Well, he evacuates the third base, but those drones don't make it out here, and duckdeok's bringing the pain already. Stephano is a little bit ahead in supply still, but without a third base, he doesn't quite have the economy potentially to keep up building units to defend this. Is duckdeok going to open up this with a win? Stephano trying to get over to Swarmos rather fast.
But will he actually get them out in time to even do much with this? The Roaches are going for the counter-attack just straight up here. If Stephano can get the Swarm hosts out at his natural main, then maybe he can try and hold this off. There's actually no observer over there. Where is the observer? Is it over there with the army? Oh, it is over there with the army. So he could actually shut that down as well, but I don't know if these Roaches are going to be able to fully do the damage they need to with those sentries holding it back.
Well, we'll see. This is kind of a weird game at this point here. I mean, look at this. Stephano's got nothing to defend. He's building 3 Swarmos, but as you say, there's an observer.
Yeah.
But here, duckdeok's warping in nothing but sentries. There's no real cannons or anything here. I love how he actually let a couple of units in there because the sentries and zealots will pick off a few of them. But this defense with another Immortal there, I think Stephano's just going to lose this game.
Oh, duckdeok playing this very, very nicely indeed. Great force shields pinned so much of that drone count in there. The Roaches finally do actually breach the natural and kill off the Immortal, but I don't think they can actually do the damage required to even things out. Duckdeok's done a lot back at Stephano's base.
And he actually just recalls back to make sure he doesn't die, to make sure he doesn't lose too many units here. He force fills the ramp there. He has lost a lot of pros, but so is Stephano. They're both very low in economy.
And Stephano now, I mean, he loses drone after drone, and duckdeok. I said at the very beginning this was going to be duckdeok's best chance to actually win these games, and he's making it look pretty effortless here in this first game.
He's crushing at this point. You know, he's broken the third base. He's destroyed the second as well. Stephano is just on 1 base. He's at 43 supply, and duckdeok's coming out again now with the units he recalled to make sure he could defend. He doesn't need to worry about taking a third base. He's replenished a lot of the probes he's lost. He's already back up to 46, more than he begun the attack with.
duckdeok's sitting pretty right now in game number 1. The Swarm hosts for Stephano, well, they're here. They're his signature, but unfortunately, it's not as strong as the normal signature that he actually has on this matchup. So he's going to try and hold, but I don't think it's going to work out for too long here. duckdeok's coming for the kill.
Yeah, this is going to be almost impossible for Stephano to hold on. And I love the approach that duckdeok's taking here. Not go late game with Stephano, because that's where Stephano is comfortable. We all know that. Once he gets to the Swarm host, the Spore Crawls, the Spines, the Vipers, the Corruptors, no one can do it the same as Stephano. But duckdeok is coming for victory here, Clarison. Well, with a couple of Swarm hosts, he can just break through this.
Even the Warp Prism sat right on top of those Swarm hosts to push them away with those sentries warping in as long as the army comes up and helps those out. And now Stephano here in game number 1, down and out. duckdeok playing very, very nicely and killing off what he needs to. All the drones come off the line as well, but it's not going to be enough here as Stephano gets pummeled into the ground by duckdeok, gotta say. And he's going to have to change things up for game number 2.
Yeah, this is not good at all, is it? Look at this. Stephano on his last, some saying his last tournament, this is his last stand in this map right now, as Belcher Vestige will go over to the Korean from Team MVP, as he will start this best of 3 series with a win. Stephano's, you know, he's still trying to stay in there. He's got a Roach Swarm coming down, another Swarm host to be made. But with the economy behind this, even if Stephano doesn't die right now, he's still on 1 base. How can you be on a 1 base? The income that he's going to gain from just having 1 base right now is really low. Look at his gas income. He's not mining properly from the gas inside his main base. His minerals is half the count as his opponent. duckdeok can very easily take a third base from this position. And, you know, double Stargate, this is just for mass Void Rays at this point. Yeah. What is there to stop Void Rays?
Exactly. I mean, it's the perfect transition for duckdeok to just guarantee him the win. He's saying, well, you know, maybe I can't break these Swarm hosts right now without losing the majority of my army, but once that airborne threat does become present here, Stephano's just going to have no way of really dealing with that.
Well, duckdeok's money is so high, but he's not even focusing too much at this point. He's already accepted that this game is in his favor. Look at it. He's at 99 to 45. He's harassing with a Warp Prism and 4 Stalkers.
It's not too often you see that.
Because there's nothing that can shoot up here. That Queen's not going to do enough damage. And duckdeok's just making Stephano, you know, look like nothing. And this is the finalist from last season.
Yeah, well, Stephano, another third base on the way here for duckdeok, and even just sealing that in whilst denying the bases as well. So still Stephano stuck on that 1 base with these Swarm hosts still being alive. Stephano must have a lot of confidence in these Swarm hosts if he wants to play this out.
If only the Swarm host could shoot up.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Because there's Void Rays being made now, and there is nothing. There's going to be a couple of Queens. There is no way that Stephano can spend money to build anti-air. He cannot afford the Hydralisk Den. He cannot afford the Spire, and with 3 Void Rays being made at a time here, and just a handful of Queens, it's not possible for Stephano unless somehow he's able to rebuild his economy. Then that's possible. Look at this, duckdeok's pulling the Nexus on Stephano's third. Stephano sees it. There's Nexus going up everywhere. duckdeok is playing, please Stephano, why are you in this game still? You've lost it. You've lost it from the get-go.
Well, duckdeok having a little bit of fun now in the end, and, you know, why not? I mean, he knows he's in a very, very comfortable position. Psyching out your opponent maybe at this stage of the game might even be more of an advantageous position here for duckdeok, but just pushing on through, killing Locust after Locust, and we'll continue to actually harass this base that's trying to go up once again, but unfortunately for Stephano, I mean, there's really not much he can do.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just seeing units just poured over here for duckdeok, who's making a slow kill here as Stephano refuses to get out the game at this point. And then, you know, that's a strong stand to take sometimes. You say, all right, you've actually got to defeat me properly. You destroy everything I've got, you kill all my units, then I'll leave. Then I'll consider leaving.
And even just focusing down that Spore Crawler as well here. The Queen's trying to hold on, but they're not really going to be able to hold on once this army actually breaches this location. Force Fields extra to seal in those swarm hosts. And duckdeok, again, played to his strengths here in game number 1 and made it work very, very nicely against, again, the second place finisher in the first season. And you're right, as you said before, didn't really show any mercy.
duckdeok, one of the oldest StarCraft 2 players, actually, when it comes to having experience. He's played from the very beginning, and he does pick up map number 1 quite easily. Quite easily there. But as saying, you know, duckdeok played in one of the first, I think it was the second season of GSL, back in 2010 as MVP finale, and stayed practicing and playing this game for many a year now, as we are in 2013 and drawing to the end of the year as well.
Wow.
duckdeok here now, trying to, you know, he's here to make a stand when it comes to the WCS global point system. He doesn't have any points. He lost in the first round of Code A before the WCS came out. It was made for a very easy switch over into the European scene, but only just now coming into the Premier League for Season 2. Does start it quite well with the round of 32 and now the round of 16.
Nuclear Precinct will be our second map here for these guys, as, again, Stephano, it would be very, very surprising, actually, if he drops this first series, and if he does, fighting back from the pit, as we like to call it, is a tough position to be in when you've got people like Lucifron and Wellmu in the group, and as I said before, Lucifron's Lucifron, and then Wellmu feels pretty confident against Zerg as well, who also goes for a very aggressive style in the matchup, so it's going to be a tough group, I think.
Well, what do you think happens when Stephano deflects an all-in? Do you think that Stephano, if he's able to deflect all-ins in these next two games, does he now win the series?
I kind of think so. I mean, if he plays, I don't want to say less greedy than he did in game number 1. If he goes for something just a little bit more defensively minded and then gathers what he wants to in the form of the infestation pit as well as the swarm hosts, he's going to be sitting very, very pretty. It's difficult to deal with Stephano when he just sets up that impenetrable wall in the middle of the map, sets himself up in his bases with spines and spores to deny any kind of warp prism harass. It's hard to break.
Well, Newkirk is a map that doesn't have a full, airspace around its main base for warp prisms to come in. But you are stretched very thin across a straight line, usually when you're expanded as a Zerg player here. So we'll have to see, how duckdeok, if he even opts to try to play the later stages, we'll see how he does there. As there was both players just asking for a quick second here before jumping into the next game. We'll be with that in a couple of moments. I think that Stephano wins this next game on Newkirk.
Yeah, I think so as well. After seeing what duckdeok does in game number 1, as you mentioned rightly, there was an air of, well, what's he going to do? And now seeing that first game, after we'd kind of predicted what he was going to do and thinking that that was maybe what he was going to do, Stephano confirms that as like, all right, okay, you're just going to play aggressive, that's fine. And even if duckdeok does now go back and rely on a macro game, taking a third base, Newkirk's a pretty good map for try and punish that as a Zerg, if Stephano would want to. But I think he would maybe even just resort to the greedy route and just go for his swarm host again.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this is going to shape up because, we've mentioned a couple of times already, nobody really knew what to expect from duckdeok today, whether he'd be playing on form or what style and strategies he'd be bringing to the WCS round of 16 here. But now we kind of know a little bit more about him. He played very aggressive, maybe not showing signs of confidence to play later stages. Maybe Stephano, maybe stops his drones a little bit earlier. Maybe he, starts his unit production earlier too to prevent any form of all-in that can come.
All right, well, game number 2 now on the way here on Newkirk Precinct as we have Stephano, second place in Season 1, facing off against duckdeok, a riser through the Challenger League here for game number 2. As we have spawned down to the bottom right-hand corner as our blue Zerg, representing EG and France. Give it up for Stephano. Down to the bottom left-hand corner has our red Protoss. 1 game up in this series, maybe to the surprise of some people, representing Korea and MVP. Give it up for duckdeok.
We'll see what he can do today. I have a... You know, Adabisi said it at the start. He's feeling that a Protoss advances today, either duckdeok or Wellmu. And, you know, I'd like to, you know, maybe say that guy could be this one.
It certainly could be. And it would be funny if say, for example, Wellmu and duckdeok were to meet one another, say in the next round or something like that. Both of them are insanely good at PvP, very, very strong in PvP. So that's a PvP series that I would like to see a lot.
Yeah, it would be a good one, especially because Wellmu his style is very Korean style. It's lots of DTs, lots of multitasking when he comes to PvP. And Wellmu's definitely, even though he lost versus Elfie in the recent Aces RG tournament, I'd still say that Wellmu's one of the best Protoss versus Protoss players in Europe. So it would be a delight to see those two go head to head. And we'll see, you know, whether it be in the losers match or winners match, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a possibility today.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that he played against Elfie in the previous tournament. That's a weird PvP to go into, Elfie versus Wellmu. That's I actually haven't watched the series fully, but I'm very, very interested to see actually what happened during that. But anyway, coming to this series now here, as we have duckdeok going for a different build entirely from game number 1, going for the Gateway Expand, and I like this from duckdeok, as it's going to distill an air of uncertainty in Stephano, and he's going to have to play a bit more defensively from the very get-go.
Yeah, he has absolutely no idea what's going to come from duckdeok, because in game 1 it was there for the Nexus first, and then all of a sudden it's Gateway Expand. So Stephano's got to play this out smartly again. He's got to be careful of what could come. But even though, you know, we say that Stephano has to focus very heavily on scouting and whatnot, he saw the robotics facility nice and early last game. He saw it before anything was made from it. He saw the additional gateways too. He saw what was coming. He just didn't really deal with it that well. He wasn't prepared on his third base. For example, there was no creep that pushed from his natural to his third. There was no creep that pushed from his third outwards. So it was very easy for duckdeok just to walk up there and just, you know, let loose before he even decided to fight. Stephano had already evacuated. He knew he was in trouble.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, a prime example of that would have been on when you previously saw players like Stephano playing on Daybreak, and there was always a huge emphasis on spreading creep from that third base, say if he was spawning over on the right-hand side, down through that bottom left path, and then having a little bit more mobility around the area, but he did not have that. In fact, it was a bit more of a hindrance to him actually going through a choke at that location, and was just forced to retreat out from that point on. And oh well, duckdeok here mixing things up a bit. He's going for that Stargate in the wall, and we did see this yesterday as well.
Yep, it's going to be picked up here by Stephano. So he knows exactly what he's playing against. He knows it's not going to be the same style that we saw in game number 1, because there's no robotics facility down, there's no immortal push coming. And then there's a couple of branches now that Stephano needs to start thinking about. If, you know, now he's seen the Stargate, is this just regular 4-5 Phoenix into robotics facility to Colossus and take a third? Is it some kind of weird Colossus into an all-in? Stephano does have eyes on the Cybernetics core here, just to make sure if there was Warp Gate coming down, if it was to be some kind of Void Ray gateway attack or Phoenix gateway attack. And he is going to poke in to see if there are any additional structures thrown down.
And I'm curious to see if duckdeok opts for the alternate route of just the 2 Phoenix into the Robo, and then later 3rd and 4th Phoenix, but we'll see in just a little bit, as behind this Stephano just taking his gases as well, or just 1 extra gas. Also we have the double extra gas going down for duckdeok behind this, so very, very, very nice ability for duckdeok to transition off if he wants to, because he's going to have a ton of gas.
5 roaches here, with a couple of Zerglings been made. Stephano's going to put a bit of pressure on while defending, because if you think about it, as a Protoss player, when you have a Stargate, if you're not building Void Rays, which your Phoenixes are here, what do you really have on the ground apart from the Phoenix. I mean, you got Phoenix in the air, which can help on the ground, but you only have a Sentry and Zealot. Even Protoss players skip up on getting the Forge when they go Gateway Expand, so this is kind of nice. He may be able to get some damage done, whether it be a Sentry pick-off, maybe Pylons, Gateway, Stargate, anything here. It is a nice little push out. And
duckdeok indeed has gone for that Robo after those 2 Phoenix, so it's extremely similar to the Phoenix build that we saw yesterday on this map. It was from Hasselhoff's, right? I think, yeah. So it's certainly coming into style here, is this build, but he hasn't started the Phoenix production again just yet. No, he stopped the Phoenix production. He only got 2, and then went straight over to the robotics facility 2. Can be the same as 4 if you're not looking to pick queens up and whatnot. The defense inside main bases are usually very strong, so you just say 2 for overlords nowadays. Ooh, and the deviation here of the Void Ray actually being in production as well, but these Roaches and Zerglings do poke forwards. They realize that these gateways haven't been turned into warp gates yet, which is a bit strange there from duckdeok. Yeah, it's just a bit of a mistake there. They should be going over very shortly. 2 Robo Bays? Is he... That has to be a mistake as well.
Yeah, that's a mistake. I mean, Stephano's putting a bit of pressure on by poking up the front door.
Yeah.
Photon overcharge. Void Ray was made that I don't think he really wanted to build, and then the double robotics bay.
Well, that's quite a gas investment.
Yeah, I mean, it's 200 gas.
Yeah, that's a lot. 2 extra sentries that you could have out there, or even the production of an Immortal behind that, as well as the sentry. But anything here would have been more beneficial for duckdeok. But he is poking around with the Phoenix, and the Void Ray does push away the aggression in the middle of the map. And Robo Bay is going to finish in a second, so does he see that right next to the other one and just cancel? I don't know. I think he may just let both complete here. A little bit unfortunate there, but he definitely is going to be looking to take a 3rd base. It's just kind of 200 gas he's wasted, unfortunately. It is like losing 2 sentries in a certain way, which, you know, is not nice to do, but with a couple of queens coming down, should be able to push this back. This is not a problem here for Stephano, these air units. And even a second forge actually going, that is the second forge, right? It's the first one. Okay, second one. Yeah, so he didn't actually utilize the first one to too much emphasis at all. It didn't even get a cannon just yet. I'm assuming he will throw it on a cannon maybe on the 3rd base, but there was a small assault at the 3rd as well of Stephano with a Void Ray tickling away at that hatchery. Can't really do too much with that just yet though, as he is already being denied quite safely by Queens and Roaches. Well, Stephano at this point, no infestation pit down yet, just focus on double evolution chambers to get his 2-2, and actually a Hydralisk Den coming down. So it looks like Stephano's going to play Roach Hydra kind of aggressive towards the middle of this 3rd base. With this double forge coming down and double robotics bay, that's a lot of gas investment, which is not a heavy sentry count. It's only 5 at this point, maybe could a little bit higher. There's not too many ground units at all here for Stephano, who definitely is going to be a little bit aggressive towards his 3rd base. Maybe he could potentially even bring it down. Yeah, he certainly could do. That's going to be a lot of units he has. And we'll see now if duckdeok is going to be vulnerable to such things, but he's going to have Colossi, and they should have Thermal Lance by the time it comes. So that, if he does have the space control abilities in place, then he should be okay. He only has 5 sentries. Again, could have had maybe 1 or 2 more if that gas investment hadn't have been spent elsewhere at the very, very beginning. Well, Stephano just poking with Novaseer here, and we'll see that this is kind of normal. It's just kind of Colossus, that single Void Ray from earlier. Didn't see the double forge though. But that's besides the point here, as I don't think he's too worried about that, as he already kind of has a plan. He's just looking to saturate these bases, take a 4th, and very soon, when he gets up to a comfortable drone count here, we will see him build quite a few units. Yeah, a little poke in with the Roaches, try and do some damage. How much are they going to get done, though? Maybe they'll get a gateway, but that's pretty much it if they actually get anything. And there you go. Will fall on back as well with that photon overcharge, as well as the army being very, very stable here for duckdeok. And I think, you know, duckdeok feels pretty comfortable right now, adding on a few gateways. I'm really confused that Stephano hasn't built any units yet. Is he just going to, it looks like it at this point, that he's just going to let the Spire complete and then build Mulus, but now he's throwing down the infestation pit. But he is piling a lot of gas. A couple Hydras do come in here, but he still has 600-700 gas in the bank. That's a lot of gateways. That is a lot of gateways. Could duckdeok maybe go for some kind of 3-base push here with Colossus? Yeah, I mean, 2-2, which is on its way with Blink. A couple of Colossus and a bunch of Stalkers would be kind of nice. It is very powerful. And right now, to what Stephano has is very powerful because he doesn't have that much yet. He's kind of waited for the Spire to complete. A couple of Corruptors coming in with the Roach and Hydra. And I suppose that we will see some in Swarm Host very soon, which is the reason for the infestation pit. But with Stephano having a decent supply count, it's not that high. So it is a little bit scary if these 2-2 upgrades do complete and we do see duckdeok move across. And with Stephano now, I mean, he's just gathering up that little army here, but it's still going to be difficult to deal with this. The blink, as well as 2-2, halfway done here, and he is now moving out to the middle of the field, so he's going to force out quite a lot of units. He could just potentially pull back after all of these units around, but this is the time that Stephano wants this army anyway. 71 drones against 72 probes. So
he's got a lot of corruptors though. He's got 8, and then with Roach Hydra coming in too, I think he may be able to deal with this. It's of course going to come down. Well, there's not that. Well, there is a decent amount of force fields, I suppose. There's a decent amount of stalkers, but we'll see here. Stephano ultimately doesn't want to take too much damage. 25 stalkers here. 2-2 almost done. After this, we will see Swarm Host, but for now, I think Stephano's very focused on making sure he doesn't die to this attack.
Just a sprinkling of Swarm Hosts here to start gathering up that number. 4 in total, now in production, along with the Enduring Locusts, as the army is just spreading itself out, ready to greet this army if it moves on to creep. Very, very important to get that concave right here for Stephano if he wants to shut down this army. And it's going to be hard for duckdeok to actually throw down good force fields here if the concave is good, but very even army supplies right now.
Storm hosts aren't ready yet, though.
Dead even, indeed. But this base is just going to die. He has to sacrifice it.
Yeah, Stephano wanted to go to Swarm Host rather than trying to build a lot of other units here. And that's hurt him because they weren't ready.
Time warps as well, slowing down those units from going around this bit of architecture that's going to make it really, really difficult for him to actually close the gap with this army. Sure, the Colossi might end up dying here to these Corruptors, but there's really not that much on the ground here for Stephano.
Yeah, I mean, the Corruptors do finally kind of bring down most of the Colossus here. One does survive, but what behind it does he have? The Swarm Hosts were not ready. He spent and saved money for them. He hasn't had the chance to use them yet, and now they're even falling down the ones that do pop out. And with just a handful of Ling Roaches coming out with good Blink Stalker Micro at 2-2.
There's no way he can actually shut this down. It's going to take an absolute miracle, but duckdeok is just sat on top of this. Blinks forwards here with confidence to just shut down all of the units streaming from the main as well. Stephano is being dismantled here by duckdeok. And there you go, GG. duckdeok takes the first series 2-0.
Wow.
Convincing.
I don't think Stephano really expected that to happen there, but duckdeok is the one that moves on to the winner's match here. Cleaning up Stephano quite fast in game 1, and then a bit later in game 2, but not letting Stephano get to where he wanted to be ideally. Conservative play from Stephano in game 2, which I think may have slowed him down to where he wanted to be, feeling a little bit threatened by all the potential attacks that could come from duckdeok. duckdeok is the winner there.
And I'm very happy that we've actually gotten to see a bit more of duckdeok's substance in the game. In comparison to the round of 32, a lot of people looked at that and was like, well, you know, what is he actually going to do here? But round of 16 comes along, shows that he can play very, very solid games thus far, especially against our Zerg opponent. And, well, he's going to have to prove himself against either Whelmu or Lucifron next, which no small order. Both of them very good in their respective matchups, but duckdeok looking very nice.
Yeah, he's looking great here today, and we'll see if he can continue that form to move on to the round of 8 and be the only Korean to make it through so far, with MVP falling short yesterday. Stephano, though, like you said, a tall order ahead of him now.
Yep, very much so. So he's going to be either going up against Whelmu or Lucifron as well, and that will be our next series in just a little bit. How do you think that one's going to go?
I think that Lucifron will probably clean that up quite fast.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I think so. 2-0 as well.
2-0? Cool stuff. Whelmu did mention that it was probably the shakiest matchup that he would actually have today, which, I mean, it's Lucifron, man.
Lucifron is having trouble against Protoss, though. That's something to think about. He is struggling in the later stages. If Whelmu can potentially, defend well in the early to mid and get to where, Stephano, Lucifron's actually having that trouble, there could be a chance for an upset there. So I would call it an upset for sure.
Oh, maybe. Well, we shall now throw it over to Paul with an interview with our winner, Mr. duckdeok.
Yes, thanks very much, guys. 2-0 victory to duckdeok. Congratulations, well done, well played. I guess we start with the fact that it was Stephano. Were you fully prepared? Had you spent time studying him?
지금 첫 번째 선수가 스테파노였는데 특별히 한국에서 뭐 준비해놓은 거 있는지 전략 같은 거.
준비는 딱히 안 하고 그냥 같은 팀인 프로토스 선수들과 함께 대화를 많이 해서 좋은 결과 나온 것 같아요.
Well, he didn't prepare anything special for Stephano. He just sat down with the other Protoss players in his team, in his MVP team in Korea, and they just made a strategy like in general, and it worked out well.
Yeah, and the second map in particular, you Did you predict the Swarm hosts were going to come out? Was that a timed attack that you had?
두 번째 판에 타임 어택 억지로 한 거야. 그때 스와모스 아직 안 나올 것 같아서 그래서 찔린 거야 그때.
두 번째 판에는 그냥 가면 끝날 줄 알고 그냥 200 채워서 간 거예요.
Well, he didn't think about like the swarm was just like he thought, okay, if I just max up to 200, then I should just finish him off.
Okay, that's confidence. Did you expect to come through so easily in 2 maps?
지금 그냥 이렇게 쉽게 2대0 이길 줄 알고 있는지.
경기 전에는 몰랐는데 첫 번째 판 쉽게 이기고 나서 다음 판도 쉽게 이길 수 있다고 생각했어요.
Before he came here, he never expected to win like 2-0, but after the first map, he was like, okay, I should make it like 2-0.
I would like to ask you as well, I mean, playing from Korea to Europe is hard, but actually being here in Europe now, what made you choose Europe as your region?
예선 같은 거 지금 WCS 유럽 하는데 근데 예선 같은 거 유럽에서 게임이 유럽에서 힘들잖아. 렉 걸리는데 왜 유럽에 걸렸는지.
그냥 해외 대회 이런 생활들이나 경험을 하고 싶어서 렉 감수하고 그래도 잘하는 사람이 이긴다 생각하고 결정했어요.
The thing is, he really wanted to come to foreign tournaments and to foreign countries, so he chose Europe so he can have the experience, and he thinks just a better player going to win, even if it's like from Korea, playing from Korea to European servers.
Okay, well, congratulations, well done. We'll see you again in the winners' game. It's duckdeok who has won our opening game against last season's runner-up, Stephano. We're now ready for Apollo to break down just how this man managed to do it.
Hello everybody and welcome to my screen of knowledge, where I'm going to be just kind of looking at what happened and why did Stephano lose that game against duckdeok, because in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the cast, sometimes it is kind of difficult to really understand what went wrong. So we're going to take a little bit of time here to kind of just get it, hopefully by the end of this you will get it. So first of all, I just want to point out some numbers before we get rolling with the replay. So first of all, if you look at the probe counts, the probe and the drone count, so which is the economy for both players, Stephano has 58 drones. His opponent has 69. There's not really been any aggression. I mean, if we look at the workers killed, I don't think we've hardly seen any workers killed by either players. Only 3. So first of all, why is Stephano 10 workers behind? A player that hasn't been aggressive. Why has not Stephano raced up to a high 70-ish drone count? And I think that it's a little bit of internal mistakes like this, but external as well. I think maybe after game number 1 of how aggressive duckdeok played and Stephano saying to himself, well, as long as I don't lose early, then I should win late. I think that may have got to him a little bit here, because keeping your drone count so high makes it very difficult to really build the units you want to build. And we see Stephano, he went, well, not even this attack too. I mean, if we just go back for a little bit here in our minds, at the start of the game, he built a bunch of roaches and lings to prevent any movements. He put pressure on the front base, and that hurt his economy as well. But if we think about what's going on here, look at all these units. What are they doing? Why do you have them? He comes in, he picks off a gateway, so he builds all these units. That's a big investment for his economy, but what does he gain? A single gateway destroyed, and that's not worth it. At this point, with that many units, you want to be killing something at this point. Something like a Colossus, the Sentries, the third Nexus even. So with a little bit of indecisiveness with having to build drones or units, and then the next thing that comes in is the Spire's down. The Hydra Den was kind of late in this game as well for any big Roach Hydra play. Then the Spire's in. Then the Infestation Pit's in. All on a very low drone count still. If you look at the units tab, the attack he did after start to realize, oh, I actually needed more money than that. I can't do everything. So he's now at 71 drones. So yes, he's in the good place for his economy, but he could have been there minutes earlier and had a better infrastructure minutes earlier as well. And now, as you can see, what's been built from duckdeok was a very, well, I like to say very cut build and very precise strategy, but it was a little bit sloppy with double robotics bay and whatnot. But he went for a big 2-2, double upgrades, blink, kill. So off 3 bases, he's coming for the kill. So even though it wasn't the best, with Stephano's indecisiveness of what to do with drones and units, indecisiveness with tech as well. Oh my God, I dropped that. Indecisive with tech too. He's going over to Swarm Host. Ideally should be building more units now, not trying to tech switch while an attack is coming, whether it be just a lot more Corruptors to bring down the Colossus faster, more Hydralists to bring down everything else. And he was kind of caught in 2 minds, I felt, for the majority of this game, which led to his downfall. And when an opponent is playing playing so direct with their strategy and coming to get you as fast and as easy as possible, you also need to respond in a very direct manner as well. And unfortunately for Stephano, through all these different things, he never really had a very strong army. It's just bits and pieces of everything when he needed a big solid army of something. And unfortunately, just a handful of roaches and hydras and cryptas weren't able to hold his third. And then from this position, he's already lost a lot of his economy again. And then as you can see, with time warps coming in, force fields, guardian shield, and everything coming in, he can't kill this army fast enough, which at this point, as a Zerg player, you have to kill the Colossus fast. And if that doesn't happen, the Colossus do too much damage. And then with the Stalkers left on the ground, Stephano just drops down, takes a bad fight, cannot replenish with units he actually wants to replenish with because of all these errors, unfortunately. And that seemed to be the main factor for duckdeok winning. So hopefully you learned something about that game, and that's going to be it for me now. So I'm going to pass it over to Red Eye for some social media.
Thank you very much. Good, fantastic analysis breakdown again. Who knows? We might even get MC back at some point this week. You just might be lucky. For now, though, we're going to take a quick break. But before that, a quick reminder for you. If you do want to interact with us via social media, we'd love to hear from you. Please use Twitter and use the hashtag #WCS, and your tweets could be featured as part of the show. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/StarCraft. And if you want to interact on Twitter as well, twitter.com/StarCraft. There's also a reminder that there are tickets still available, amazingly. I have no idea how, but there are tickets available for tomorrow and Thursday. That's the round of 16 here live at ESL TV studios in Cologne. We also have tickets still available, only just available, for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday will be the quarterfinals in the round of 8, and the 2 matches that will decide the 5th and 6th place players, the semi-finals and the grand final of WCS Europe Season 2 will take place on Sunday. That's this Saturday and Sunday. Yes, we're going to give you a treat of StarCraft all week long. Time to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a fantastic matchup. It's yet another challenger taking on the established crowd. It's Welmu versus Lucifron.